LA City and County roll out a pilot program that sends medical health workers to 911 calls. Officials say the therapeutic transportation program will be on call 24 hours a day. Trained healthcare workers will respond to nonviolent emergency calls instead of law enforcement. Quote, "We know that mental health is best treated by mental health experts. Oftentimes, seeing a badge can trigger people's trauma even more." No shit. Considering that Los Angeles badge specifically is known for causing a ton of trauma on a regular basis, which is not something I'm reading, something that I said myself. Moving on, in the first month of the program, mental health workers have responded to 113 calls. About 20% of those calls ended with someone being treated and released at the scene. About 13% of those calls resulted in patients being taken to a hospital, and 80% declined similar calls. An 80% decline from similar calls in the past. Reducing pressure on overburdened emergency rooms, and the remainder of the calls, the vast majority, result in patients being placed in alternative medical care facilities such as mental health clinics or drug treatment centers. Yay! I think they were doing a similar thing in Denver shortly after Black Lives Matter or during the protests. You could see some cities actually changing and trying new things and trying to progress in a positive way, which you see a lot in Denver's great for that. I mean, on a different level, legalizing weed, and I think they're on the forefront of legalizing mushrooms, like trying to make substances that are not harmful to humans, that are not responsible for a human death in the history of humans. Specifically weed, like they understand that that's not a dangerous substance. Like you could kill yourself if you take too much. You could drink too much water and die. But nobody has ever, and people have never in the history of humans died from ingesting too much weed. Can't happen. So understanding that it's not a dangerous substance, they were on one of the first states to legalize it. Or cities. Colorado, the state, is, because of that, very progressive, similar to California. A lot of similar things. But, yeah, this is good to hear. I mean, any change in making these police departments, especially, like, ones that are, like, notably bad. Like, Los Angeles Police Department is, like, historically bad. Like, there are genres of music dedicated to how horrible the Los Angeles Police Department treats human beings. Right? There's, like, movies created. Training Day wasn't a documentary, but it's based on real shit. It's based on, like, Google LASD gangs, the Los Angeles Sheriff's Department gangs. And go look at all of the footage from TikTok or, wherever, of firsthand accounts during the Black Lives Matter protests, and see how the police, or go back to, like, the Rodney King. The police this is like their MO forever. And Los Angeles is one of the all-stars of, like, corrupt police departments. So this is much better. Hopefully, that means that they're taking funds from the cops and redistributing those funds to changing the budget so that mental health workers, since they're doing the more work, they're doing the work that the cops used to do primarily, because cops don't stop crime. They don't prevent murder. They don't prevent anything. They go respond to things. They're not out there unless they're, like, pulling you over and they happen to find, like, a warrant or something. I don't know. Like, they go fishing with trying to fill jail cells, private prisons. Anyway, fuck the police. But yeah, Google LASD gangs. But this is good. I hope it works. I don't live in LA. I'm not in LA County, so like, I'm not going to see the effects of that firsthand or whatever. But I hope it seems to be very effective, and hopefully that will be publicized more and become more of a trend in other large cities across the country. Because, treating everybody like a criminal, you're going to find criminals everywhere. If everybody is, everybody go to every politician and you're going to see majority of them are going to have criminal behavior. Go to all of the billionaires. Like, all of the billionaires that if the IRS actually took the time and spent the money, there's so many people that cheat on their taxes, but nobody does anything because it costs too much to. Every aspect of money that funds everything is squeezed from the poor people of this country, which can easily lead to mental health issues. Being like so underwater socially in this country because no jobs pay a living like it's hard to get a job that pays a living wage. Everything, the cost of living is exponentially growing, especially now. Everybody is taking advantage to raise prices regardless. They have so many excuses to why they're doing it. But of course, their profits are going to continue to increase, and CEOs and VPs, executives are all going to get their bonuses. Like, there are no signs that they are suffering whatsoever, aside from that being a great excuse for them to raise prices for no reason. To just further, when you make the cost of living so high, everybody's poor. Everybody's poor. And when you don't pay people anything, everybody's like, we're somehow surviving on pennies. It's crazy.